So I have a question, Mike. What do you think, Rob? Kind of give our audience kind of a high level overview of really what does an intelligence analyst do? I mean, in terms of how do you guys operate on a day-to-day without, tipping anybody's hat?
Rob, I hope that gave you 30 seconds to think about a non-classified answer that you can give.
I appreciate that. That's a question I think a lot of people, want to know. They want to know the answer to, and they hoping it's mysterious. But really, an intelligence analyst looks at information, especially disparate sources of information, and combs through that. And it tries to understand what the situation is. And it tries to distill the meaningful elements of that information and all the data to support what the commander needs or the decision makers need, or what is on the top of their priority list, and try to paint a picture for them. And here's the key is what they're really doing is trying to provide information that is not common. And they're trying to make sure that there's an additional understanding based off of data or knowledge that is not readily available. And so that's where a lot of times it's classified, because that data and information that they're taking advantage of is coming from secret sources. And so that what really gives intelligence its edge is the information and the data that those intelligence analysts utilize isn't common knowledge. And so a lot of analysts will specialize in a particular area or a region, and that's what they do is they get to know that area much almost like a historian in a way / reporter, if you will, like a journalist in a lot of ways. And they just try to stay up to date on their topics of interest, their subjects, and make sure that their decision makers are up to speed every day or week or whenever they're called upon to provide those intelligence briefs or summaries.
I think it's really interesting to me, Rob, as I've talked to you over the years on the domestic side, and of course, as I reflect on what you did in the military, folks sometimes think this analyst job's just kind of a piece of cake sitting in the back room and having a soda and a donut while you work through the computer. But maybe you could just touch on the responsibility that rests on your shoulders when you're doing this, knowing that in a military situation, lives are at stake. And of course, in a law enforcement situation, that you are trying to bring a reign of terror to an end, like in these serial killer cases.
So I'd say first and foremost is you have to take your personal feelings the best you can. You're always going to have some level of bias as an analyst, but you need to try to look past that and represent what the data is telling you, and make sure that that is what is in your intelligence brief, and not what you wanted to say, but what's actually happening. I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges. And like you said, also in a lot of situations, it's life and death. Intelligence, 5 minutes too late is worthless. If something has already occurred, you need to make sure that information is put out timely, and people can take decisive action and change course as needed. But yeah, it's one of those things that you definitely have to be expedient about, and make sure the right people get the right information.
That's an interesting comment. 5 minutes too late is worthless.